Pep Talk UK, Pro Beez, remember, subscribe. I'm delighted to be joined once again. We seem to be doing this now on a regular basis. Dave Coldwell, how you doing? You all right?
I'm good, mate. I'm good, very good. How's yourself?
Hey, I feel like I'm getting back to normal now, and I can see a smile on your face. It's changed, man. The doom and gloom have gone, and now we're ready to rock again, right?
Yeah, fingers crossed. You know, every week things seem to be getting a little bit closer, a little bit closer. This week, football's back. You know, so that's always a.
I wore this scarf because of you.
So football's back, so we feel better for that. You know, boxing's back soon. So yeah, things are getting there.
Yeah, you mentioned boxing is back soon. Obviously, Eddie Hearn's backyard out in Essex. He's going to host one of your fighters, Jordan Gill, on the comeback trail once again. He's going to be on a backyard fighting against Reece Bellotti. How's preparations gone?
Do you know what? Brilliant. Under the circumstances, I could not have wished for him to be where he's at. I wouldn't even have dreamt it. You know, that's just a testament to his dedication, the way that he lives his life, and his determination and his discipline. We've done FaceTime sessions all the way through, full lockdown. We've done FaceTime sessions 3 times a week. Strict technique, everything. Slowed it all down. Working on limited things, limited shots. Restricted him to it. Drilling it over and over and over again. Then I could start seeing it on the bag, because he's got a bag there. So when they're filming him on the bag, I can see the changes. And then last week, back in the gym together and seeing him work up close and personal. You see it properly. And he's sharp, he's fit, he's in a really, really good place. So I'm excited, very excited.
Yeah, it's kind of like a testing period now in both fighters' career, both of them. This is it's quite interesting, because some would even say, look, it's make or break. Technically, no. I mean, Jordan's 25, right? So
25 is a baby.
Yeah, I mean, he's a baby. I mean, he's got plenty of time. But a lot of people are saying, look, in order to make that step forward right now, neither fighter can afford to lose.
In order to take that step forward right now, and move as a 25-year-old and progress into the big fights of 25-year-old, then it's make or break. But there is there's no pressure like that, because again, we're falling into this routine of like, oh, you get lost, it's over. Or we can't, in one hand, you know, say, oh, we need to be more like the UFC, where good fights are made, and you know, don't worry about the loss and come back. But then say basically, oh well, if you get beat, that's it, you're done. It's bullshit. You know, it's how you cope with it. It's how you cope with a defeat. Whether you sorry, I just got a phone call there. It's how you cope with the defeat, whether you can come back from it and improve from it. You know, Jordan was defeated. He came back from it in the best possible way mentally. Took a bit of time to digest and to understand, and then to evolve as a fighter. Now I'm looking at a very, very mature Jordan Gill. And I'm looking at still an outstanding talent in Jordan Gill, but now a better fighter. You know, we've progressed from there. It's ticking all the boxes, and he just has to understand about, you know, going there and performing under the lights and doing things as you know, being honest and doing things as he should do. Which is, you know, a big part of why he got beat, was he was in no fit position to get in the ring. But once he got in the ring, he let things dictate to him, and he made the wrong decisions. He understands about decision making even more now. So, you know, when he goes in the ring and you have tough spots, things aren't going great, he understands what you do to get through those situations. But going back to what you said originally about, you know, we're not looking at if it's all right if he gets beat, he can come back. We're not looking at getting beat, you know. But ultimately, whether it's this fight or he steps into world class or he fights for a world title, there's so many fighters. There's different stages fighters can get beat at. it's not the end of the world if you handle it. I'm talking as a defeat. How you look at defeat, but we're not planning on getting beat. I don't expect him to get beat. You know, if he brings out the best of him, then I think he's a phenomenal talent. I think he's a fighter that's going to go, you know, all the way. And there's no reason why he can't, because he's 25 years old. He's been with me now. We've worked together for just over 2 years. And it's like I was saying to him, look at how he's improved in those 2 years. Look at where he is in these 2 years. Imagine double that. Doubling that only takes him to 27, you know? And then imagine doubling that. If you keep working hard, and I don't have to worry about Jordan's mentality. I don't have to worry about his discipline and his dedication. I know he's always going to be striving to improve every session. Win or lose, improve every session. So with a man like that, with a fighter like that, you are always going to improve. And when you look at it, and then like I said, you look at the time scale, I don't care where we are right now. My plans aren't. It's like when he fought for the Commonwealth title, and everyone's, oh, it's must win, it's pressure, it's this, blah, blah. I said to him, you know, before we went out, I said to him, I said, is this where you want to be in your career? Do you want, you know, no disrespect to the Commonwealth title, it's a fantastic title, and to become a Commonwealth champion is a fantastic achievement. I said, but is this your dream to become Commonwealth champion? He was like, no. I said, well, it's just another fight then. The belt doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. You know, it's just another fight. When you've won the belt, then you can celebrate and say, that's it, I'm Commonwealth champ. That's brilliant, fantastic achievement. But don't put the pressure on yourself as though this one fight is everything and that's it. That's something you don't need to do. Unless your ambition is to be a Commonwealth champion, and that's it, you know, because then I get that. When Curtis Woodhouse boxed for the British title, his whole life, his whole ambition, and the whole journey of leaving football, turning professional, was all about becoming a British champion. It's never about being a world champion, a European champion, a Commonwealth champion. It was about being a British champion. So when he fought for that British title, yes, his whole dreams and everything were on that fight. So the amount of pressure on him that night was massive, was intense, and he came through it. But what I'm saying is, like, Reece Bellotti and this fight isn't the you know, there's no need to put masses of extra pressure. There's pressure on fighters every time they go in the ring anyway. But this isn't his holy grail. It's another fight he has to win. Every fight a fighter has, whether it's an 8-rounder against a tough journeyman, whether it's a 4-rounder in the first few fights against a Latvian or whatever journeyman, every fight, yeah, if you want to get there quicker and give yourself every opportunity of getting there and getting the back in, then you have to win every fight. Every 4-rounder is just as important as thinking about in 2 years' time I'm going to fight for that title. That's important. But the 4-rounder is important, because otherwise you're going to get delayed and get to where you want to be.
And I would add to that, Eddie Hearn cited that he can only put on 5 fights per card, right?
Yeah.
That to me tells me, hold on, there's no more give me's now. Yeah, there's a set amount of fights, and they need to be good ones, right?
Yeah.
So the win and loss column of a lot of fighters is significantly going to change in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what I said, you know, I said it to Eddie. I said, look, I said, this is great. We've got, you know, because he was talking about, we've got an opportunity now of making more competitive fights earlier on in people's careers and things like that. So yeah, I get that, and I understand that, and that's brilliant. But as a promoter as well, you have to understand that just because one of your prospects might get beat because they're in a little bit earlier than what we would normally do, you can't then just throw them on scrappy. You have to understand that's a real fight. You have to understand that is going to make, if they're learning the right way and they get the right backing and they're brought back the right way, that's going to make them a better fighter. So don't, you know, bring them back. Don't then just say, he's not going to make it, next. And as a promoter, there is some responsibility on that promoter to do that as well. You know, and that's what we're gonna, hopefully that's what we're gonna see from it.
Yeah, I think
and other promoters, if they do the same.
No, definitely. I think the whole boxing landscape is going to change. You know, I think we're going to have more UFC sort of style, the best against the best fights, competitive fights. The win-loss column is just going to be just for the record books, for the box recs. You know what I mean?
So So the best thing for me, I'm not a UFC fan. I don't watch UFC. I watch Conor McGregor, right? And I'm a fan of Conor McGregor's, right? Because of his personality, and he draws people, you know, pretty much the same as Joshua, even Fury now, where people that don't go and watch old boxing shows will watch Fury, will watch Joshua. Well, I'm like that with UFC. I'm not a big fan of UFC, but I remember I used to like Bisping because he was Brit and what he was doing over there. And then Conor McGregor puts out a lot. I love his personality, how he is, and he catches your attention. So then I watched his fights, but I couldn't tell you his record. I couldn't tell you any UFC type, any UFC fighter's record. I'm not asked about record. I just want to see if it's a good fight. It's a good fight. You know, it's going to be a good fight. It talks good fight. You think, right, it's going to be a good fight. I want to watch that. Right. That's how we kind of need to be with boxing. If it's a good fight, enjoy the fight. Don't just write off the guy's career because he's got beaten a good fight. And then you watch his career develop and watch them come along, and then they might fight somebody else and beat somebody else. They might fight somebody else and lose somebody else, and so on and so on. It's like when you have a triangle of prospects, or a triangle of champions, and either fighter can beat either man on a given day. You know, and that's what you want to see. You want to see competitive fights where you might get beat, but if you get beat, there's no shame because it's a real fight.
Definitely. And I feel like, you know, we've had young talents at the time, like James the Gill. Remember when he lost to Groves in a close fight, 0-2 that night? I was there that night. He went on to be a world champion in spectacular fashion. You know, he had to fight in the leisure centers, come through again, kind of rebuild his whole career, and he still had that mentality to come back and be a world champion.
You see that just shows you, and that is a perfect example. Two young fighters, two young prospects meet earlier than what you would expect. Didn't harm the loser one bit. And if you know, in another world, they'd have met again, because that was always a big rematch. It just never got made, but it was always a big rematch because they fought early on, and it was a good fight, and it was a close contested fight. So this is what could happen. You know, you can get two prospects facing off at Eddie's back garden or one of Frank Warren's shows or whoever's shows, behind closed doors, whatever it may be. Once we have public, whatever it may be, if the dimension of the sport changes and these kids fight earlier, it can create a rivalry. Everybody wants a rivalry. Everybody needs it. And instead of just making one up out of social media because you don't like what somebody says and stuff like that, there's going to be genuine rivalries built up because two guys go in, they might not have any beef or anything like that. It's a good fight, it's a close fight. One gets beat, he's going to have that resentment towards the other guy until he gets that chance of revenge, and it's creating this rivalry as they go along. And then, you know, they meet again and they meet for more money down the line. So there's there's a lot of good options that could come out of the whole situation that we're being put into.
Yeah, and you know what I want to talk about as well is another fight who took an L in a British title, a big title heavyweight fight, Dillian Whyte and Anthony Joshua. You see Dillian Whyte, you see he came back, regrouped, and is one of the best in the world. In the top 5 in the world, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. And he's took real fights, risky fights, time after time and again. And you know, he's got the fans' respect. You know, if you go back to when he fought AJ, he was a villain. He was a bad guy. You know, but because of how he's took the loss, and he's come along and he's developed, and the way he puts his heart on his sleeve, the way he's willing to fight anybody, fans love him now. And so his stature, his reputation, his CV, is fantastic. The only thing that he's missing is a world title shot.
You mentioned world title shot. We'll get into it. You know, the news is today that look, he's had enough. He started to issue legal proceedings against the WBC in order to get that date rubber stamped. It must happen because 1,000 days plus is a bit too much, it would seem.
A bit too much of a piss take. That's what it is. You know, I completely understand and I completely agree with what he's doing, because He sat patiently. He stayed loyal to WBC. He's right, okay, waited. Keeps waiting. Talking about the fights. And that's what's been happening. And the WBC haven't like forced the mandatory. Haven't put him forward to get the fight done. And so he's waited. How long do you expect him to sit there and wait before you actually start thinking, okay, right, let's go down a legal route and let's get this done, you know? So I totally understand it.
Yeah, because out in Vegas for the Fury and Wilder fight, and I asked Mauricio Sullivan, I said, look, what is the situation with Dillian Whyte? When is he going to get his title shot? He said to me, February 2021. Since then, only last week, we had the big Joshua and Fury announcement that they've agreed financial terms to fight 2 fights next year. So this is where this whole thing's come about, you know?
Oh, yeah, totally understand that. And it's great and it's exciting that all fans that are talking about Joshua and Fury. That's the fight that everybody wants to see. You can't lie about that. But the fight that the fighter deserves, Dillian Whyte deserves his crack at the world title. So regardless of what everybody wants to see, a man's worked his way to get to a point and he's been sat in this position. And it's like, well, he deserves it. So he should get it before an AJ Fury fight happens, you know, and even be talked about. I mean, he should get it. But, you know, he feels as though, obviously, they're talking about AJ and Fury. So where do I fit in? I think I saw an interview. I don't know who it was. I can't remember, but I think I heard where that they was talking about it, and they just say, yeah, you know, Dillian, if Fury beats Wilder, Dillian gets his shot, and then AJ Fury. But then I was just thought, well, that's just being dismissive of Dillian Whyte's chances against Fury, because you're talking about him as just being a tune-up fight, which is not. But yeah, he definitely deserves. So if that's the case, I don't know when Fury and Wilder's third fight is supposed to happen. But let's say it's September or some September, October. Then why not? Why not February 2021? You've got Dillian and Fury, and then the winner of that fight fights AJ, and that's how it is. You know, that should be how it is. Yes, pencil in, you know, your AJ fight against that guy, you know, for, you know, July or whatever it is, summer. If AJ comes through the Pulev fight, you talk about AJ, but against the winner of Fury and Dillian. That's how it should be.
Because there was a talk from Bob Arum. You know, I had a conversation with Bob Arum interview last week, and Bob Arum mentioned that if Dillian pursues his mandatory title shot, there's a possibility that Tyson Fury might be elevated to franchise champion.
Oh, you see, you know that's bollocks. That's bollocks. This was where this franchise bullshit means nothing. It's bullshit. They brought out an interim when it was supposed to be originally. It was supposed to be when a fighter's injured, when a champion's injured. And it's not just a, you know, bruise down or something. They're out for a long period. So okay, we're bringing this interim title. So the guy that's supposed to be fighting for the world title, mandatory or whatever, he can fight somebody else, keeps the title active. The champion sits out, gets, as soon as he's clear from his injury, then the one that's just won the interim title will fight the actual champion. Then you scrap the interim, it's gone again. You don't need it. Now they're just keeping this interim. So the interim's being used for any sort of idea, because champion wants to fight this fight, so allow him, you can fight for interim. That's bollocks. But then, even worse than that, they bring out the franchise champion, which means fuck all. And it's just, I'm not being funny. If the WBC world title is prestigious enough, it's historic. It's the famous green and gold belt, right? It's historic. You don't need to come out with a new super belt to make it any more prestigious. Or the franchise champion. You're not talking about Starbucks or Costa. You're talking about a world championship title. And so I don't agree with that. Again, that's just so they can make shitloads of money because they'll get a sanction fee off a Dillian against whoever for the WBC, and then Tyson Fury is this franchise champion, and they get shitloads of money for whoever he fights there, if it's AJ or whatever. But because in real terms, and in real, if you talk going back to, when unifications happened in all the great Europe unification fights, in real terms, if he gives up his WBC title and gets given this franchise belt, it shouldn't be a WBC champion. The franchise belt is bollocks. I don't agree with it. It's my opinion. But I just think if that's the case, if he's mandatory, that's what should happen. Then fight Dillian Whyte and then fight AJ.
Yeah. Would you say there's any positives to, WBC could turn around and say, well, yeah, I mean, Tyson Fury is going to be franchise champion, but then, we make Dillian a world champion, WBC champion. So then they might say,
make him buy what? Make him buy a what?
Probably email.
Email?
Yeah. Probably
Bollocks.
Email, say you've been upgraded. Or,
I'm not being funny. This where champions are made. You sat at home, you're watching your TV, your phone goes, you got an email, or you get off a WhatsApp off your manager, or phone call your manager. Congratulations, you're WBC world champion. Well, when you're a fighter, or as a coach, don't get me wrong, you will never turn it down. If that's how it's going to be, that's how it's going to be. Devin Haney, that's how nobody's going to turn it down. They're not going to turn it down and say, "Oh no, I'm not accepting it." Nobody's going to do that. I understand that. But when you're a fighter and you're dreaming, when you're a coach, you're dreaming about getting a world champion. Do you know what you dream about? You dream about that moment at the MC says, "and the new," and you go crazy and you go nuts and the emotion.
Goodison, value.
So let me just explain that. That is my greatest ever memory from this sport. My greatest ever memory. I will never forget that memory ever. Right? Please God, I'll never forget that memory, and that goes with me grave. Right? How different is that memory if I got an email or text message off Red Deer saying, "We got an email, he's world champion." After everything you've done all the way through your life, your career, and that's where's that elation? Where's that buzz? Where's that adrenaline? Where's that memory? What can you remember when you became world champion? Yeah. My manager sent me this email and he forwarded me email, I'm world champion. That's not the same. That's not the same. That's bollocks. That's bollocks. And I don't agree with it. I think that is the word that's quite possibly out of so many shit things they've done with the sport. I think that's quite possibly right up for me. It's right up there as one of the top shitty things they've done to the sport is they rob fighters by making them world champions by email, promoting you to be a world champion. That's bollocks.
Yeah. I kind of compare it to. I can kind of compare. The celebration thing that you were saying when your fighter wins a world title and you're in full of elation. It's just a bit like in football when you score a goal and now you're not allowed to celebrate and put your shirt over your head and all that.
It's worse than that. It's worse than that. It's worse than that because you still have the action of scoring the goal.
Yeah.
You ain't done anything. You're sat at home having a cup of coffee. You get an email that tells you that you're world champion. You've not won the fight. You've not won a world title fight. So if you've never won a world title fight, how can you say you're world champion? You didn't win a world title fight. You might have won an eliminator. You might have won a final eliminator, but you've never actually challenged for a world title. So if you've never won or even fought to challenge for a world title, how can you sit there and say, "I am world champion"? You have to win a world title fight to be world champion. That's how I see it. And fighters that have been elevated to become world champion and then maybe lost or drawn or just never won a world title fight, lost it in the first defense, you can't say that you're former world champion. Yeah, you weren't a world champion. You didn't win a world title fight. It's just my opinion, but that's how I see it.
Thanks for your time. It's been a pleasure,
problem, mate.
As per always. And hey, I look forward to Fight Camp real soon. It's not far away.
I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait.
But it's been a pleasure. Dave Coldwell, thanks for your time.
Cheers.
Pep Talk.
Thanks, mate.
Dave
Cheers.
Coldwell.
Nice one.
Cheers. Thank you.
Take care. See you later.
Cheers. Bye.